Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
Welcome, everybody, to I'll Hang Up and Listen, your NHL playoff edition. I am joined by producer Steve to give you guys a quick recap of the first two games that are officially in the books for your 2022 NHL playoffs. First things first, the the Bruins lose 5-1 to the Carolina Hurricanes. How sweet that is. Honestly, my second most hated team in all of hockey. The Boston Bruins blowing game one to the Carolina Hurricanes. And, you know, as much as I don't like rooting for the Carolina Hurricanes, how sweet it is again. And then, of course, you know, once you have your highs, you have your lows. The Toronto Maple Leafs beating the absolute piss out of the Tampa Bay Lightning, which I don't think anybody expected in game one, 5-0. Vasilevsky looked very, very mediocre, and Jack Campbell was great. So, and Austin Matthews just did what Austin Matthews does. Steve, your thoughts?
Well, I got a lot of them. First of all, I think the entire Trocheck family needs to apologize to Linus Ullmark for that blatantly disrespectful, filthy goal to put it up. What was that? I think that was the 4-1 goal. That was just the nail of the coffin in that game there. I mean, even though Boston was out shooting Carolina, Carolina's just playing that shutdown style better than Boston does. And
yep.
It showed on the scoreboard. I mean, you know, Carolina was just capitalizing on their opportunities. Boston was snake bit. Their lone goal came from the accursed one, Taylor Hall.
Yep.
I think I saw a graphic saying that Brad Marchand has scored one goal in his last 14 games, and that one goal was an empty netter. So, you know, some of the people that you need to be productive in the postseason are just – they weren't there tonight by any stretch of the imagination. And I think the other thing that was interesting about that was the first time that two goaltenders were making their playoff debut since, like, I think it was like 2005 or something. Like, that hasn't happened in a long, long time. That I guess Ranta and Ullmark had never had a playoff series start. I mean, obviously, Linus Ullmark hadn't.
Well, yeah, I mean, with Buffalo, that's clear.
Yeah, but
without a doubt,
But then, I guess
I guess Antti Ranta's just been a little bit of a suitcase.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, but again, you know, a couple clicks for both those guys making their NHL playoff debut. But at the same time, you know, fuck Linus Ullmark, I don't even care anymore. He's in my rear view and has been for a while. And Antti Ranta, good for him, man. Like, I think as we mentioned on the playoff preview show before playoffs started tonight, said that Carolina plays a very disciplined defensive system that really benefits a goaltender, and then they can also score, as we saw tonight, which makes them even more dangerous.
Some of those sleeper players were the ones getting the goals. It wasn't the guys that you always expect. I mean, that Vincent Trocheck goal, he's more of like your second. He's more of your middle forward guy. He's not your top guy, I don't think. I believe Nino Niederreiter got one on that fourth line there with Jordan Staal. Of course, Svechnikov got that empty netter at the end of the game, but you know, it was and then it was Jarvis got the first one, the rookie kid with Carolina. So that, you know, good for him to get his feet wet right in the first game of the postseason. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not the biggest Carolina fan. You know, sometimes I think they're a little bit annoying on social media, but ultimately, you know, they're not a team that I follow too closely. But I mean, in the postseason, any team that beats Boston is my friend.
Yeah,
I don't care who it is.
That goal by Teravainen was beautiful too. On the
the Teravainen goal was glorious.
Yep. Yeah. So and then to you know, go back to the Leafs Lightning game. The one goal I think was by Mitchie Marner. Like, dude, I think every single Tampa player was in the net but Vasilevsky. Like,
yeah, at the last second, at the last second, Vasi like jumps off to the wrong side, thinking
he misread the play, and
yeah,
Mitch Marner had time to knit a sweater back there. Honestly, he did.
Yeah, I mean, Vazzy also had 3 Lightning players in front of him, so he had to do something to be able to see it. But, ultimately he jumped in the complete opposite direction of where the puck was coming from and where it was going. It was just, oh my God. And that would honestly be his biggest dang it of the game if it weren't for that misplay behind the net that led to Austin Matthews' second goal of the night. And that was just like, that was textbook. If you're a goaltender, turn
the goal.
In
our best Steve Dangle impression. Austin Matthews.
It's really just a Charlie Kelly impression. Let's just be serious.
Yeah. Austin Matthews, an absolute hammer by Vasilevsky. He put every ounce in his body into that shot and just blew it by Vasilevsky. You hear the MVP chants. You hear the at the end of the game, Andre. Playoff hockey is alive.
It's all your fault.
They were joking on the post game. They're probably planning the parade tomorrow morning. The parade's already being planned, but you still got to win 3 more, and it's not like you're playing an 8th seed or a 7th seed. You're playing the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions. So that team can easily just take this as a lesson in game 1 and go blow you through 4 games in a row, which could definitely happen.
Yeah, I mean, if any team has the experience to take a series where they want it to go, it's very clearly Tampa Bay. And I got to shoot straight with you. I honestly think this should have been a 6-0 game. I genuinely believe that power play goal that Sergachev got that stick on, if you zoom in on that aerial feed, you get the tiniest little sliver of white on the other side of that puck. It just barely, probably like a centimeter, but it went over. I think that should have been 6-0. And I must have missed it, but it looks like LA got the first goal in that game against Edmonton.
Did they?
I've said
it. If there's a team in the West that can cause an upset, I would put my money on LA. I think goaltending is going to be very key in that series, and I don't know if Mike Smith's the guy to really carry them through the playoffs. He's 41. His best years are clearly behind him. Even though he played very well for stretches in this season, I just don't see him as the guy.
Yeah, that was Trevor Moore just drives through the slot real quick. It wasn't really anything too crazy, but I feel like that was more of a defensive folly than than Mike Smith not doing what he needs to do. I mean, they got 2 guys on the guy behind the net, only 1 guy on the dude in front, and then Trevor Moore just has an open slot to just completely drive through, do whatever he wants. And Trevor Moore scores the 4th goal for LA in that game. So sadly, the outcomes I don't want to see in the West are happening so far. Edmonton isn't winning. Minnesota isn't winning. I'm not a fan. I hear your camera going off, bud. You taking pics?
I'm trying to get a good screen grab for the thumbnail. Because I like this comment from Don Keith here. That was painful. So smile for the camera, or just do your best. That was painful. Look. There we go.
What are you gonna do?
There we go. That was a good one. That's the one right there. That's the one.
I'm gonna try to concoct an argument here, and I want all the Sabres homers to just bear with me. It might actually be a good thing if the Toronto Maple Leafs finally win a round.
And why do you say that?
One, I mean, yes, it puts to bed the joke that they can't ever make it through the first round. And that's such an evergreen joke, and it has been for so long. But think about how much worse it's going to hurt when they finally win their own personal Stanley Cup of, we made it through the first round! And then they have to go face the Florida fucking Panthers. Because let's be serious, they're facing the Florida Panthers if they make it through the first round.
I personally
and they are going to get absolutely spanked.
I personally, in the East at least, I think the only
Jumbo Joe is going to pull their pants down and spank every single one of them back over the border. I'm
Rakeem Davis here on YouTube. Are the Leafs Cup contenders? I really don't think so. They need to do more to show me, be more consistent. And did they beat Tampa? Yeah, absolutely. I just don't think anybody's beating Florida personally. That team is so good top to bottom. If they do get the goaltending,
it's disgusting how good they are.
It's over. And then I think Jumbo Joe, like you said, will finally get that Stanley Cup ring.
And Claude Giroux.
Yep, that too. Claude Giroux. You
Claude Giroux. Oh boy, deserves a cup.
In terms of veterans and guys who deserve it more, I put Jumbo Joe over everybody else in the league. And here another comment from Paramount Pictures. They are defending champions with Tampa has their own playoff letdowns, i.e. versus Columbus. Very, very.
That is very true.
Very, very true. Yeah, the Columbus Blue Jackets. There was a sweep too, wasn't it? They got swept.
Yeah, I think that was a 4-0 sweep.
Like 4-1. But I personally, I think the only team that could probably match up with Florida, because again they play very disciplined in their own end, is probably the Carolina Hurricanes. If we're talking about the East, they can score. They can score just as much as anybody else in the league, but they can defend almost as good, if not better, than anybody else in the league. And very, very disciplined system there over in Carolina from Rod the Bod Brindamore. And it's gonna be that's a series that's gonna be interesting to watch, because I would like to assume that you would see you'll see Florida win that one, but I think Carolina's going to make it very, very difficult if them two end up matching up against each other.
Oh yeah, that would be the series of the East with
the
that
best.
doubt.
Let's be real. The best YouTube handle on all YouTube is the Dominator 39.
Dominatoire
and the logo Dominator. I hope you're subscribed to the channel, bud. At Two Goalies on Mike, because you're our favorite follower for sure if you are, just because of that name. But I just like, again. They blew the doors in. I mean, the players that you needed to performed, i.e., Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. They showed up to play tonight, and
yeah,
again, the big thing for me is the goaltending. Defensively, obviously, that's always been an issue with them, but the goaltending needs to be there, because goaltenders can steal you games in the playoffs. They can't steal you a Stanley Cup, in my opinion, but they can steal you games. But the thing is, normally when you need your goalie to steal you game after game, you usually don't have the scoring ability that the Toronto Maple Leafs do have. They're one of the highest scoring teams in the National Hockey League. And if they can just get the goaltending and average at best defensive play, that's a very tough team to beat in the East, even Florida Panthers. But that is a huge if.
Yeah, that's the fun part about day one of the playoffs. There's an awful lot to speculate on. We just don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, tonight's game, Toronto and Tampa, literally had everything. I mean, it had the people making 8 figures finally showing up in the postseason, which is exact. Particularly Mitch Marner gets his playoff drought over with. He gets his first goal since the 2019 series he was in, I believe was the quotation, like over 1,000 days since his last playoff goal, and he finally gets one. So him and Matthews both get 3 points tonight. Riley gets 2 assists tonight. I mean, Jake Muzzin gets the first clapper with that shot that had eyes for days from the point. Dave Kampf with that just nasty little shorthander. I loved it.
They had no Michael Bunting now either.
And no Michael Bunting. But yeah, I mean, it had all the goals that you want to see. It had a wonderful shutout. Once again, shout out Soupy.
Yeah, I'm a big Jack Campbell fan. I love Jack Campbell. I tweeted out earlier, like, he's the only silver lining for me. If Toronto gets out of the first round, is I do want to see that guy succeed. Like, I love everything about Jack Campbell. Such a good teammate. Just, if you're trying to build a good culture in your locker room, he's one of the guys you want in there. He's a team player. He's a team first. There's no I in his, team.
There is no I in the name Jack Campbell.
I know. Yeah. I remember during Kobe Bryant's eulogy, Shaq they told a story about how the team was getting on Kobe about not passing the ball, and they asked Shaq to go talk to him, and I forgot what he goes up to Kobe. He goes, "Hey man, the guys, they want you to start dishing the ball, yada yada." He goes, "There's no I." He goes, "There's no I in team, but there's an I in win. There's an I in win, or what, something along those lines. And Shaq went back to the team. He's like, yeah, guys, I don't expect him to pass the ball anytime soon. But something along those lines. But with Jack Campbell, man, there's just, he's just a team first mentality. He's going to support, he's possibly, honestly, if he's not starting it, he'd be the world's best backup goaltender, because right there next to Marc-Andre Fleury, he's going to support who's ever in that over him 100% of the way. He's going to be in their ear. And, I assume he's like the same way in the locker room with the rest of the team. He's in their ears. He's trying to be, bring people up, not bring them down. I just love everything about Jack Campbell, man. Just if he can stay consistent here in the playoffs, and the players that you need to score and perform, again, a very tough team to beat.
Yeah, Jack Campbell is a admitted cat dad, very passionate about his pet cat, which I can definitely get behind. But I love the quote that they had during the broadcast, that he's the team's Labrador Retriever, that he just unconditionally loves every single person on his squad. And, you do kind of need that. You just need somebody that's always going to be in your corner, rain or shine, no matter what. And it's nice that, they've got that in that locker room. Yeah. I like this comment here from Paramat Pictures. Are we scouting anyone in the playoffs right now for the Sabres to try to acquire at some point in the offseason?
Ville Husso.
Ville Husso, number one.
Even though I don't think that I really don't think that they're going to let him walk. I think they're going to do their best to probably do away with the Binnington contract before they let Ville Husso walk away. It's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough to find a team that's willing to take on that contract. But I think St. Louis can do everything they can to keep him around.
I mean, you do say that, but there are a lot of teams, Buffalo included, that are fairly, if not completely, desperate for legitimate goaltending. And I think Binnington has that to offer from time to time. So I think, yes, it will be difficult because it is $6 million, but I don't think it's going to be as hard as we think it's going to be, because he is somebody who has legitimately taken a team to a Stanley Cup and won them a ring. So, yes, it's going to be hard, but I think there are enough teams out there that desperately need a goaltending change. I mean, a team on the top of my list that I can just think of off the top of my head would be a team like the New Jersey Devils. Like, what have they been running right now? Like Blackwood, Nico Dawes. Yeah, there's definitely an eye in Eichel.
There is for sure. Again, here we go from Dylan Baker. Yeah, the dog can play goalie for Tampa and beat the Leafs. I wouldn't go that far, but maybe that walrus from that what was it, the Geico or Allstate commercial? Wally the walrus. What commercial was that?
I honestly don't remember. I always thought Geico was just a gecko, and then Liberty Mutual has a
Maybe somebody in the comments. Wally the walrus.
All these insurance companies have too many fucking animals.
They were throwing fish to him or whatever from the bench. Just a big blob in the net. Gave up nothing. For some reason, they still felt need to put goalie pads on him. But
all right. So what you're saying is we need to acquire Wallstedt so we can call him Wally the Walrus.
That's it. That's who we need.
All right.
It's I got you. They say Geico.
Oh, it is Geico.
So easy a caveman can do it.
Yeah, they did have a lot of ad campaigns. But as far as other players that I potentially got my eye on, I do want to see how productive and useful two of the defensive free agents that were talked about during the trade deadline, Klingberg and Josh Manson, who's now with Colorado. I kind of want to see how they perform, particularly Josh Manson. And I know it'll be hard to try to convince him to leave Denver, because I feel like, honestly, if I could afford to live in Denver, I'd probably live in Denver, but I'm poor, so I don't. But that's it. But that said, I mean, ultimately, aside from the obvious hole in between the pipes, shoring up that right side is another big priority for Buffalo. And Josh Manson was one of those reliable, stay at home, no bullshit defenseman who can eat big minutes that I had at the top of my list. He's a big boy. He knows what he's doing. He was with Anaheim forever, so he knows how to deal with a team that's in some sort of state of rebuild. So I just feel like he's got some veteran presence that, that incredibly young blue line could benefit from a little bit more so than maybe keeping a guy like. And as much as I like Pezic, I feel like he's like a seventh man kind of situation. So while I'm open to having Pezic back next year, I couldn't possibly see him in anything over a third line pairing.
Yeah, maybe like the seventh, the odd man out. Comes into whenever there's an injury, which I mean could happen often. You never know. Or just when a guy needs a night off, they bring in Mark Pysyk. We'll see what happens. Again, right now, what do we got for scores right now? Oh, LA up 2-0.
I literally just watched that goal happen in real time. Holy shit. Yo, that was a filthy goal. Mike Smith.
Giveaway on the boards. Was that Iafallo?
Iafallo. Yes, sir. 2-0 Kings.
Native right there, buddy. Western New York native. Iafallo. You love to see it.
I
called it, man.
2-0. Thankfully, still 2-0 Blues. That hasn't gotten any worse.
Yeah. So, we're going into the later games. Obviously, 2-0 Edmonton lead over 2-0 Kings lead over the Edmonton Oilers. Again, man, I just said the game's going to come. That series is going to come down to goaltending. Like, I put all my eggs in the Jonathan Quick basket before I do Mike Smith. And I think that's the big upset. And if they get upset in the first round, I think heads are going to roll in Edmonton. People are going to get fired. Just like if Toronto is going to loses to Tampa, I think heads are going to roll in Toronto. I think there's, a lot of coaches and GMs are going to be on the unemployment line if either of these teams can't get past the first round. And I know people think it's impossible to think that McDavid would, be out of Edmonton. I think you should do everything you possibly can to make that work. But how much longer can you expect Connor McDavid to keep losing, except losing, at Edmonton now? We saw Jack Eichel get traded to Vegas. If they can't get by the first round here, I know this is just game one. There's hockey's the 7-game series, a lot of hockey left to be played, but I mean, there's no excuses to losing to the LA Kings. I'm sorry, there isn't. You have the more talented team.
Can't be doing that. Yeah, it's going to be a story for sure if that's the way that plays out. But honestly, I just, God, that 12.5 though, that's just going to be so hard to move. I feel like it would be easier to try to move Leon Draisaitl, which is also like,
I don't think so. I don't think it's hard to move Connor McDavid's. I think Connor McDavid for me,
it's 12.5.
That's great. That's
great. So much money. Who
can
afford that? Who can afford that besides us?
Literally, you would trade half your roster if it meant bringing in Connor McDavid.
Yeah, but then who plays with Connor McDavid? You can't have Connor McDavid on a top line with pylons. That defeats the purpose.
You just figure it out from there, man.
Right.
I think teams would literally find a way to get Connor McDavid underneath their cap, 100%. And Edmonton shouldn't have to retain any salary when you trade Connor McDavid. Absolutely not. I know there are aging, but is it possible bringing Drew Doughty or Eric Johnson for the right side? I mean, I love Drew Doughty in a Sabres uniform, but I don't think he's ever leaving LA. That's a guy who takes a hometown discount to stay put. Or he retires. Personally, I think he retires in Los Angeles King. I would love to have him on. Edmonton's going to choke away this series. I really do think so. I don't think Edmonton wins. I really don't. I'm excited for the Goat Head jersey to come back next season as our alternate jerseys. Who isn't, man? We're all pumped. I'm absolutely ecstatic that the Goat Head will be back as the third jersey. And then the Dominator 39 again. Like Edmonton has the legit best player on the planet, and you've made the second round once. People around him will get the axe before they deal him. I agree. 100% people are going to get fired, but I mean that doesn't mean he's not going to request a trade. Like I could see it coming. I could.
Yeah, and I mean once that request is out in the open, it immediately decreases his value.
Yeah.
A Connor McDavid that inexplicably wants to stay in Edmonton, offers a higher price than a Connor McDavid who just goes out to the media and says, "Get me the fuck out of this town. Get me as far away from Edmonton as humanly possible." At which point they trade with the Florida Panthers for Sergei Bobrovsky, some absurd package, and in exchange, the Florida Panthers just acquired Connor McDavid somehow.
Yeah, I don't think it would ever happen.
I mean, but if Florida retains salary on Bob, so they're only paying $5 for Bob, going back the other way, and then
is the goal going to be the black or the white one? I got a feeling it would probably be the black, right? I think they would go black.
I don't know. I mean, they clearly already have the colorway put together for like the blue and gold. For like they had it as like the shoulder crest, so all they have to do is just make a bigger version of that for the whites. I really don't know. I feel like the return to Royal is going well enough that I feel like they're going to try to stick with that color scheme, but that's just me.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to see like just this back in vogue, I could honestly see them doing the like the alternate from a couple years ago that had the like the blue and gold encrusted like goat head on the shoulder of a white jersey, but that's just like the main crest, and then maybe the two swords.
For me personally, if you're
just completely inverted,
if you're going back to the goat head, it needs to be in the red and white black. That's all I want. I want that jersey. Just give me that jersey. I don't want any mixing of the color schemes between blue and gold. No, thank you. I'm sure it will look great, but for me, goat head is goat head. Give me those colors.
There's a wild theory that they could just do both. For people who want the blue and gold on a white jersey, they have it.
Yeah.
And then for people who just want classic Coke, they got classic Coke.
Yeah.
They have the power. It's literally in their control now. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah. But with that being said, Edmonton scores 2-1.
Edmonton scores.
Replay. End of the first period. Must have literally just happened. So we had a 2-1 score. End of the first period against LA and Edmonton. They had a focus on McDavid at the end of the period, so I wonder if it was him that scored the game, the goal. I'm not too sure. Checking
Magic McDavid. Here it is. Oh my, yep, just undresses the entire fucking roster, goes in, buries
and that's why you literally trade and get rid of whoever you have to get Connor McDavid. That right there, why? Like, he's the only guy. He's the only guy in the NHL that can do that. Only one. There's nobody in the NHL. Austin Matthews can't do that. And I love Austin Matthews is phenomenal, but he can't do what Connor McDavid just did with that kind of speed and that kind of shot. No way. Undressed, literally, that's like the third time or fourth time this year he's literally skated
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, just right in between number 4 and 5. Team. He didn't even need to undress the other two. He just part the sea and just like, okay, I'm in the slot now. Thanks.
Yep.
Bye.
With that being said, Steve, I'll wrap this up. Any final thoughts?
The Wild need to fucking show up because I don't want to see the Blues do good things. I want them to feel bad about stuff, and then they'll be more likely to trade Ville Husso to us.
Right.
I want the Oilers to finally win something because I don't want Connor McDavid to Marchand cry. That's not a gif I need to see. I need to see more Marchand crying gifs. I want Toronto to lose so that way I want them to win so that way when they lose in the second round to the Florida Panthers, it hurts that much more. Yeah. I always want Boston to lose because fuck Boston forever. If you don't already know why, just look up Miller Lucic on YouTube and, educate yourself. I will literally never forgive it. Any team that wears black and yellow, fuck you.
See you later. With that being said, this is another playoff edition of I'll Hang Up and Listen. We'll be coming at you every once in a while. One of these felt it was necessary for night one of the playoffs. But with that being said, I'll hang up and listen. Let's go. Who are we rooting for?
Let's do that hockey.
Let's do that hockey. That's right. So,
let's do that hockey.
Here's to another night of NHL playoff hockey, the best playoffs in all of sports, for the most coveted trophy in all of sports. Let's go hockey.
This podcast is brought to you by Insomnia.